Converted on LSD trip, meet David Clark, and here is Extraordinary Story. You're listening to TWR Sky Digital, channel 888. Hello and welcome. David Clark, welcome to the TWR studio. You're a Christian now?
That's right.
Did you grow up in a religious home?
No, I didn't. No, far from it, really. My mother was, I think, a little bit religious, but they took us to Sunday school when I was a youngster. I didn't understand it, really. I learnt that houses were a little door there and windows there because we used to paint pictures, but I didn't know much about religion or things like that.
When you became a teenager, was that it? Did you stop going to Sunday school, and did you forget about Christianity?
I stopped going to Sunday school perhaps about 12 years old, and by that time I'd learnt to steal a few things and get involved in a few pranks and stuff like that, yeah. But religion for me had knocked on head at that time.
David, of course, you grew up in the post-war generation. You were born around about 1950.
Yeah.
In other words, when you were a teenager, of course, that was the time of the Beatles. That was the time of the 68 revolutionaries.
Yeah, that
was the time of free love, of drugs. Did that generation actually have that effect on you that led you into a life of sex, drugs and crime? Or
well, that was the generation. The thing was, rather than we follow, it was a sort of, we were leading. In fact, my brother actually led me because I looked up to him, and he'd been in detention centre twice and Borstal, and I thought, wow, this is the way to go, and drugs and dope and stealing cars and this, that and the other. Right, sex, free love, that was all on the cards and out for the grabs.
Why did that look so fascinating, for instance?
Because of the excitement. It wasn't boring that way, you see. And we just wanted a bit of a laugh, really. We weren't out to hurt people, just a laugh, really, a bit of fun.
So it was out of boredom, basically?
Well, we weren't bored, although I used to find, however, at the end of the day, after we got up to what we got up to, I'd come home at 12 or 1 o'clock and think to myself, what on earth is it all about? I was empty inside.
What was your family life like?
Mum was a very good mum. Dad, he retired work about 50. He didn't have much of an influence on us, but there was, a 3-bedroomed house. My mum had worked always. They hated borrowing money and stuff like that. Wouldn't go on Social Security and stuff like that, but, it was okay.
So your dad didn't have much time. What about your mum?
Well, Mum was the great driving force behind my brother and I. Certainly when we got in trouble with the law and was inside, and she would be the one to visit us and write letters for us and go out of the way to help us. Mum was a good mum in that area. Yeah.
Do you think your parents could have prevented you and your brother going down that road?
I don't think so, no. No.
Why not?
I don't know. I just don't know.
Because usually people say, well, if you come from a more difficult family background, you're more prone to get involved in things like that. Would you say that's true on the whole, but it's just not true for you?
I don't know whether that's necessarily true, but certainly in our case, I don't think my mum. I couldn't have had a better mum, really, in that sense. And Dad was okay, no real problems, but we went down the road because we went down that road.
Before you said you were looking for excitement, looking back now, was there something behind that, something deeper
I think I was
looking for?
I think I was normal. I think everybody's like it. It's just that I have more boldness. I think the kids today are just a second generation. They would do the things I wanted to do then, if they could do, but they're afraid of the law, they're afraid of this, they're afraid of, people. I was normal. Sinner. I was a sinner. I was an evil youngster, wanted my own way, selfish, boastful, proud, bragging, boasting. That's what I was. Kids are like that. They need to be saved.
David, you also got into drugs. What was
that? Was out of
that?
Curiosity and, again, excitement and smoking marijuana and pet pills to stay up all night to have a good time because, when you're on dope or on speed, or speed today, it used to be blues or adrenaline or stuff like that, black bombers, it was just to keep awake all night to have a good time, really, to dance to the music. But it was just one of those things, really.
And what triggered it off initially? Was it curiosity?
Just wanting to be one of the lads or be the lad about town, really, just to be one of the others.
David, you not only got involved in crime, but you also managed to hide it for up to 3 years. That was rather clever.
Well, you see, when I got sent to Borstal, I learned how to break into a house and do it very quickly, The tips of the trade are you start at the bottom drawer first, And then the next door, you don't do it the other way around, because you've got, I mean, there are ways. You learn how to break into places, you learn how to forge checks, you learn how to steal cars, you learn how to ring a car. Well, I was doing it anyway, but Borstal is a lovely place for training ground.
How were you able to conceal it? It was, I think, up to 24 crimes or so.
Because I was just out of the way of the police. The crimes I got up to, I would cover my tracks, really. I mean, I want to steal a car, I'll steal a car, you know, and you want this, I'd bring a car, or an art welder, or electric welder, or TV set, or colour. You know, we just do it, and do it without getting caught, really. No concern for anybody else but myself. Selfish. Totally. Absolutely selfish.
Now, at the age of 17, it began to get more dramatic. You were sentenced to imprisonment for possessing a firearm without a license.
Well, that's right,
for malicious wounding.
That's right, yeah. But there again, you see, I actually covered that for my brother. My brother got the air weapon, and he was using it for laugh, just to shoot people, and in fact, particularly ladies' bottoms, as we were driving down the street, and that's the whole fun of it. Down the Mods and Rockers, the Bank Holiday Coast, where you go down to the right, we just have on the beach, you pop shot someone, but of course on the way to London, we hit some lady in the neck, and we got chased by the police, and we got found, and I told the police I had done it, because I knew my brother, if he got captured, he'd get sent away. Of course, I got sent away. They found my brother guilty as well, and he got sent away for 2 years.
How long were you in prison for?
For a year.
And what was that like?
Well, at first, I thought it was a brilliant time. We thought a bit of fun, really, because my brother and I being together, we had a good time. I shaved my head just for a laugh, you know, and if it wasn't for the fact my brother was there, it would have been a miserable place. But we turned it to the good, you know, and we learned all sorts of stuff. We learned how to sew mailbags. How about that, man? I sew now, though. It was fun, initially.
You came into contact with the gospel again. You said that your first Christian experience was pretty unsuccessful, but finally you ended up becoming Christian. How did that come about? Well,
I met a woman that was a Christian. I worked for a man in Aylesbury to learn how to do TV sets, and his wife was a boring woman, so boring, you know, she's a terrible woman she was, but she was a Christian, you know, everything I wanted to do, she would tell me it's wrong. She'd say,
that should have put you off Christianity.
It's wrong to have sex outside of marriage. It's wrong to get drunk like this. It's wrong to do this. Wrong to do this. This is wrong. And I thought, cool, this is no good. What sort of boy woman? So that's my meeting with an encounter with a Christian woman. Everything I was doing, she was condemning.
Well, that should have put you off Christianity for life.
Well, obviously it didn't. I didn't hear the gospel, did I? I never heard the gospel till I was actually converted. Do you know that? I've been to church with a woman and husband, and I only heard it after I was converted.
Now, you've written a book, Converted on LSD Trip, that gives away how you became a Christian. Sounds absolutely mad, sounds absolutely fascinating as well.
Well, the reason for the title is not my title. It's like in the church when it was first called, they were called Christians in those days at Antioch. That was the name the world called them. That's the name that the book, the newspaper, the Bucks Herald in Aylesbury gave it. They called that Conversion on LSD Trip because what happened was, after I'd become a Christian, after a year, I confessed, or was able to confess to 24 crimes which I'd done. And I appeared in court, and that's what appeared on the headlines. You know, Conversion on LSD Trip. Now, the book contains, I felt, everything that I believe was appropriate and right, what the Lord Jesus wants me to declare to the world.
What happened during that particular LSD trip that the journalist was referring to?
Well, what happened there was I'd given my friends acid that night, 3 drugs. We went to see the film called Easy Rider in the 60s, you know, it's on an acid trip, that's all about that. But I went through a bad experience called the Horrors. And the Horrors is, I went through a paranoid type depression, and everyone was laughing at me, and for fear of losing my mind, I was driven to the home of Mrs. Knight, this Christian I told you about. And then when I said, look, can I lay down on the bed in your chalet? Yes, so I did that. And they left me on my own, and I cried out in my soul to God, please help me. I said, Jesus, please help me. Jesus, please help me. And then, just at that moment, Mrs. Knight came to the chalet door, knocked on the door to see if she could help me, just at that moment by chance. And as she came in, suddenly the guilt of a particular sin flooded my conscience. And I said to her, I said, Grace, that's her name, you know what, do you know about I am? Do you know what I've done? You tell me the way, tell me the way. She didn't know what on earth was going on, but she quoted the scripture, for God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. And then, Jesus actually spoke to me. He said, he was there, I didn't see him as a man, This person was there. He said, Dave, I'm with you. You've been searching for a long time. This is what our Father says. And he was referring to what Grace had spoken to me about, that lady. Oh, I didn't understand the words. But I knew those words were the pathway to my escape from where I'd been. He then said to me, Dave, what you've been going through is nothing compared to what hell is like. My mind was open to the torment of my other friends I thought they were going for. I said, what about the others? Mrs. Knight thought I was speaking to her, but before she could even contemplate to give me a reasonable answer, Jesus said to me, he said, Dave, all you can do is tell them. Now, I write in detail exactly what happened in the book. It's all there. What he told me 2 weeks ago something happened to me, convinced me, showed me. That's all I can do. So, all I can do is tell people the way of salvation.
You're listening to David Clark here on TransWorld Radio. Don't go away.